Episode 19 of Clicking Balls. This is Heath. The other voice is Brenton.
Yep, and end of, round four for AFL.
Fuck my tips. If anybody got all 9 this round, there's only 2 ways you can get 9 tips this round. 1, you have alternate accounts and you've picked all the different combinations. Yep. Or 2, you were deliberately trying to lose.
I've always thought the only way I'll start tipping again is if it's a competition that all agrees that you have to tip losers and not the winners. Because that's the only thing that I seem to be good at.
You know, it's a 50-50. You can just pick the other way.
I still have the same strategy.
Yeah. So. It's what a phenomenal day of footy, though, on Saturday. Yeah. And I think even Friday night showed that scrappy footy, if it's a good contest, can still be watchable.
Yeah, if both teams are around the same sort of skill level, and I mean the wet weather evens it all out.
It does in the end. Which I think the AFL's been very careful with the first 4 rounds, trying to match. That we haven't had any of last year's cellar dwellers versus last year's top of the tables yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think the floggings are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. But anyways, ANZAC Day, 5 games on, and I think I watched, 80%.
Yeah, I would have gone close. I did the marathon. And it also helped that it was pissing down rain most of the day.
So sitting inside watching the footy was awesome.
It seemed because we were thinking about going on the Friday night, but fuck that.
It was cold.
You could see the forecast, and there's no way you'd want to be out there.
And it was at one stage it absolutely bucketed it down too. I remember in the second half.
Yep.
Well, let's go into it. That's Melbourne-Richmond. With the D's showing some fight and getting up. I think the biggest thing to come out of that game was Jesse Hogan finally showed what everyone said he's been promising since he joined the club.
Yeah, he looked like he'd been playing for a couple of years and wasn't afraid to throw his body around. Stood tall. Some great marks out in front.
And I mean, he was standing on rants.
Yeah, and he just wasn't intimidated at all.
No, he looked mature. He looked composed. He looked like everything that you'd want from a key forward.
Yeah,
it really looked like the future.
Looked like there wasn't really much of a issue with transition into the big stage. It seemed like he could just get involved in the game and put everything else aside. It didn't really seem to faze him too much being on the big stage.
And like many Richmond games before, coach gave him a spray afterwards.
Yep.
It is funny in this day and age. You can't lose the players, and you got to talk nice and all of that. Jeez, Hardwick must have wanted to say something much for us behind doors. I hope he did.
And it's even funny when you see the coverage and it goes to him. Say Richard make a mistake and they have the coach's box camera.
Yep.
And you see someone must give him a nudge when he's on camera because he's just like a blowfish. His old cheeks just puff up and he's just got something building up.
I've noticed whenever they go to Clarkson, he's learnt now. He puts his hand over his mouth.
Yeah.
Because he's letting rip there.
Yep.
But so Melbourne get a needed win, and I think it was the first game they played on a Friday night for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was, and there was a bit of talk leading up to that match about are Melbourne going to perform, and will they manage to keep this spot in the ANZAC Day weekend?
They're trying to make that the night before ANZAC Day into a yearly fixture.
And I mean, they had the lighting of the cauldron just to make it something.
Oh, how magic was that?
Yeah,
it looked absolutely unreal. Actually, to be honest, that was the only reason I regretted not going to the game. We were seeing there when they turned off all the lights. Yeah. If I say, it's delicate to say this, but I'm glad that they could bring Ron Barassi out again because he's such a massive figure. But his days in the public eye are very much numbered.
Yeah,
sadly.
Yep.
It happens to us all at one stage. I said at the start of the season that having so many Friday night games might be detrimental to Richmond.
Yep.
You reckon Hardwick's still going to be there next year?
Yeah, I think he will. I think they'll just give him his due course for his contract and then assess it from there. But it seemed like they just didn't finish off their chances. They had a massive edge in the forward entries. Got smashed in the clearances a bit, but I think it was 32-17 forward entries at halftime or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And just couldn't finish it off. And you could see from the get-go that they just didn't have it on that night. There's never really a stage where I thought, yep, they're going to win this.
Yeah. I thought in the first minute, I think Richmond got a goal in the first minute or minute 30 or something like that.
Yeah,
and Melbourne looked soft, and then they switched on after that. There were clean pickups and handballs hit targets.
Yeah.
And, it's a simple game at the end of the day. So onward to Carlton versus St Kilda over in New Zealand.
Yep.
8,000 that rocked up.
Yep.
And I don't know how many of them were locals.
Might have been 8,000 watching on TV too.
Yeah, about
so
that.
Lucky.
Now I saw most of this game and it was all right. I mean, it was scrappy, but there was some good passages of play, and Carlton did all right.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of a bit lucky for both those teams that are struggling a bit that they had the Collingwood versus Essendon game overlapping or over the top,
at the end of it,
so that no one really, there wasn't too much talk about it towards the end.
It was good that Carlton got a first win on the board, especially for Mick Moldhouse, because he breaks the record next week.
Next week, is it?
And it would have been bad if they're going in 0-4, and likely 0-5 when he's breaking the record. You don't want to stumble over the line. But
yeah, exactly.
They got a good win. There was one funny passage of play. Now I've forgotten which player it was, but I know it was Bryce Gibbs next to him, running through the centre square, going into the goal, and the player's got the ball and he's about a metre in front of Bryce Gibbs, a Carlton player.
Yep.
And he's pointed back and going, "You shepherd him right there."
Yep.
Bryce Gibbs gone, "No, fuck you, son. I do the kicking round here. You give it to me. You shepherd the." And he did, and he kicked the goal. And I was like, "There's a veteran move."
That's it, and I'm sure whoever the other player was will remember that one for, and he's a veteran.
Yep,
it's one of those things you remember.
Get this one back on him. And then the big one, ANZAC Day, Collingwood Essendon. Did you pick it?
No, I didn't pick it, but I'm not surprised. It just seems like
it's just ANZAC Day.
Yeah, plus it's raining, and it's you're not going to have a blowout in the wet like that.
Yeah, when it's raining, it usually evens up things. I thought Collingwood were a chance because during the week, I think Mick Malloy called Dane Swan piggy or pudgy or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I thought, okay, you stir him up, he's going to go kill.
So it must be that time of the year again where Swanee has to
justify his body shape.
Yep.
He had a good one. But what really set them apart, Collingwood, in this one was their shots from outside 50.
Yeah.
There weren't many goals kicked in the game, and I think more than half of their goals were long bombs that cleared the line or ones that skidded through.
Yep.
Geez, it was amazing to watch.
And had lots of kids stand up as well.
Seedsman got the medal.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a bad effort.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few people that had their name in the hat, but, it's fair call.
Yeah.
Season played pretty well.
Again, and it was another great, tight contest for ANZAC Day. Even with the horrid weather, it lived up to what we expect.
Yeah,
out of those games. And mind you, the other good thing, talking about it during the week, it was not great weather, and they still had 88,000.
88,000 or something like that, yeah.
When you just think about it, and Kevin Sheedy and Sam Newman actually alluded to it during the week.
Yep.
There were the biggest attended sporting event in the world on that day was one Melbourne suburb versus another Melbourne suburb.
Yep.
Like, there's no World Cup fixtures or this country versus that country or state versus state. It was just Essendon versus Collingwood in the world. Had nobody more.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually, when you put it from that perspective. You didn't really think about it like that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they've earned that.
And it's just good to see people still get out there. And I think it's one of those games that attracts a lot of interstate crowd.
Yep.
So regardless of what the weather is, people have come to Melbourne just for that game. And they're going regardless.
There'll be people right now that are planning their trip next year.
Yeah, exactly.
To go to Anzac Day. Okay, GWS versus Gold Coast. This is the tale of two cities, really, isn't it?
Yep. Yep, exactly.
I think a few people thought Gold Coast would sneak into the 8 this year. They have to play finals.
Yep.
And GWS were just a little bit off the ball.
Yep.
God damn, they've done well.
Yeah, they have.
All their veterans, they look like, they've been lucky.
Yeah.
In that they've got, Pat Phil fell into their lap, and Mumford was forced out of the Swans, but he's in his second year there now.
Yeah, he's looking pretty fit now too, Mumford. So
he's looking like Mumford.
Yeah,
he's still the monster that he is.
Barrel chest.
Yep.
Prance around the forward lines.
Still demolishing sausage nights everywhere.
Yeah.
What's really amazing about GWS? Oh, Griffin, of course, as well. In the off season, Patton's done his knee last year, so he's not playing this year.
Yeah.
They lost Boyd, who was going to stand up and be their big tall forward, and they've come out and Cameron's still playing well. Cam McCarthy's kicked 6.
Yeah.
And James Stewart. Now, Cam McCarthy and James Stewart, I couldn't even name them as AFL players last year.
Yeah.
And now he's kicked a dozen,
regulars up there, yeah. And I mean, they've got their week in, week outers that always stand up, like Shield.
Now, like Shield, yeah. Just quietly, he could be in the top 3 for the Brownlow right now.
Oh, I think absolutely. He's been killing it.
He could be in double-digit votes.
And I think the only thing that might work against him is that they've got another few youngsters there that have been killing it as well.
Yeah. Cornelio had a good game, and Doug.
Yeah, Boak's been playing well.
And they've been holding up.
I can't remember the other fellow's name. Yeah, he think he had like 30 odd touches on the weekend. Callum Ward. So it was.
Oh, Callum Ward, from the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Their veterans have done well. They'll get them on. Then you go look at the Gold Coast. Malcheski, he wouldn't get a game in the Swans reserves.
Yeah.
He was probably their best player in the last month of last year. Now he's looking shocking.
And it's sort of, is that the peak that he got to and it's just over the hill now, or is it just a different environment and he can't adjust to a game plan? Or?
I mean, you'd expect a little bit of a atrophy. I don't know, I think he's 31 or 32, but not as dramatic as it's been. And I think Fox Footy showed that his kicking efficiency was down to like 40% at some stage.
Yeah.
And he was one of the best over the last couple of years.
It could just be a mental thing as well. Just be adjusting something off the field. Who knows? But it's kind of out of nowhere. I would have thought he's one that would have had not too much trouble.
Yeah, and shored up their back line. They needed a bit of experience down there.
Yeah.
But it's been shocking. I don't know, maybe he's retired early and still being paid.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not looking very good for Gold Coast at all.
Yeah, and I think with GWS, maybe, potentially one of the advantages they had with a completely clean slate and not a whole lot of leadership on the field is that it's given the young kids the chance to develop as their own leaders of that team. Yeah. And they haven't anyone to follow. They've just had to let personalities develop and emerge, and basically there's no Gary Ablett in the centre telling everyone or showing everyone how do you play the game.
Yeah, which looked like they went the wrong way when they first started. Yeah, because they paid the big money for Tom Scully.
Yeah.
Who's turned into an okay player.
Yeah,
but he's not the Ablett.
Exactly, he's not $1 million.
But they've just done really well. Heath Shaw's playing well as well. If you have a look at the backline generals for the two teams, you've got Heath Shaw on one side and Malcheski on the other.
Yeah,
I know which one you take now, and it's not a hard choice at all.
I think it says a lot about just having no pressure when they're at home. There's no media hounding them. I mean, to be honest, they walk down the street, no one probably even looks twice.
So they're, it's been very careful how they've been structured. Raising them up as all living in like a college campus, and all that kind of stuff.
Probably more for safety, anything out in Western Sydney.
could very well be, but it's going to be the blueprint, I think, from here on forward. If there's any more expansion teams, in other sports too.
Yeah.
And on to the two big blockbusters of Saturday night, and both games took a similar turn.
Yep.
So we'll start with Port and Hawthorn, because obviously we watched this game pretty closely.
Yep.
That first quarter from Port was just phenomenal.
Yeah. And it's when Port are switched on, that's just what they can do to a team. It doesn't matter what team it is.
Yeah, it was amazing, the run. Now, they kicked 8 goals too, I think, and maybe 3 of those goals were gimmies.
Yeah.
The rest were snaps around the corner, they're going through, and in this kind of game, you can call them lucky, but at the same time, you got to make yourself get lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
You put yourself in the position to get lucky.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely killing it. Late going down I don't think it affected it that much.
Nah, it wasn't the 10-goal difference with late going down or whatever they got out to.
And they weren't getting killed by a key forward. So losing a key backman isn't the issue. They were getting killed out of the middle.
And that's what kind of makes it hard to match up against them when they've got so many different sources of goals from their midfield going forward and all running, 2 or 3 numbers around the ball. It's pretty hard to match up on because you can't single out just 1 or 2 people to mark up on and stop their sort of flood of goals.
Yeah.
It's just a wave that comes through.
It was just well spread.
I think you see pressure and counter-attack seems to be the only thing that really makes them think twice about their running game and putting numbers around the ball.
Yeah, I don't think they were really fearless with that, leaving their man and running on.
Yeah.
Because, we were watching it, and how many times do we say Hawthorn would kick to a 2-on-1 contest into their forward line, and then Port to get the ball, and then there'd be another loose man.
Yeah.
Like, well, how can you have a 2-on-1 plus a loose man?
Yeah.
What's going on?
And they kick to a contest with the same thing.
Yeah.
You're like, how is this happening?
I don't know if Robbie Gray pulling out actually helped, because their first 3 rounds, he was pretty much the only one standing up in their midfield.
Yeah.
That might sound a bit harsh, but he was killing it in the midfield.
Yeah.
Now he left. It's like everyone else is, all right, well, we can't rely on him anymore. And they just they held their ground.
That's it. It's just like a team of ants. They're just all a little bit of teamwork, and that's it. It's all linked up together, and that's it. There's no one doing anything particularly flashy or I mean, you get Wingard take a hanger or a couple of snaps and that. Well, all the hard work's done before the ball gets down there.
Yeah, he had a really good first quarter, playing on the ball as well as down forward. I think he kicked the first. But some of the other things that Ken Hinckley did, Kane Corns came back in. He's their number one tagger.
Yep.
Sent him to the 32-year-old Sam Mitchell.
Yep.
Because you still got to send him to Sam Mitchell. I mean, other teams haven't done it. They've been trying to tag Isaac Smith or Bradley Hill or one of the others.
Yep.
And he goes, no, we'll go to the old fella because he's the one that's still he's still the general.
Yeah, he's the one that exactly. If you keep him occupied, it does a lot to sort of disrupt their momentum and their structure. And because you got him and Hodge, and between them, one of them's going to be telling someone what to do.
Yep.
Wherever they are.
Both of them, all day. And when Hawthorn got back into it, that's what happened. Is Mitchell got it, got off a little bit. Yep. The ball got in Hodge's hands and Burgoyne hands as well.
And it did look like Port started to run out of legs towards the end there. Looked a bit out on their feet. And I mean, it's not surprising when you put in that same effort against North Melbourne the week before.
Yep.
Then you've backed it up and done that again to the Hawks at home this time. And I mean, it's a great style of footy, but can you play it for a whole season and then finals?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, last year they dropped off a little bit during mid-year. But they've had a really tough start to the season with their games, and they've come out, 2-2 now?
Yeah, and I wonder if they factor this into sort of their season plan. They break it up into blocks, I think, of 4 weeks or whatever. Well, if they say we're going to train to play this hard-running footy for this 4 weeks, and then you sort of have that rehabilitation month where maybe you've got different games that have a different game plan. And you sort of taper off towards the middle and then build it back up for the finals. I'm sure it'll be considered in their coaching structures.
Got to time your run. But that's why, early season wins are really important because it means that you can start to manage your teams.
Yeah, that's it.
The ones that got the niggles can, you can sit out this game here.
Yeah. And that's what you have to do. They have to be rested because it's too hard to tell someone who's a paid athlete to not go 100% when they're on the field.
They can't. Yeah, it's drummed into them. It's just their natural instinct.
Yeah, it's just competitive juice to start flowing, and they want to win, and that's what they're paid to do and done all their whole life. And so it's hard to say. We've got to just play a bit smarter and not just as flat out.
It was a phenomenal game. And even though Hawthorn came back, it never felt like they were going to get there.
Yeah.
It always seemed like it was just a bridge too far.
Yeah.
And it was nearly the same story over on the other side of the country with Freo versus Sydney.
Yeah, and I think for me that one was just about as unexpected as the Port Hawks one. Because Port Hawks both play sort of a style of footy that's potentially going to demolish another team, the other team.
Attacking, very attacking.
Whereas, Sydney and Freo... I mean, Freo, they can do that as well, but they still got great defence where they can lock it down as well. And Sydney are definitely that way.
Both of them have tried to add attacking to their arsenal. Look, that's 2 weeks in a row. Freo have just blown the game open in the first quarter, or the first half even. I think Sydney only had one goal at half time. Obviously, we were watching the other game, so we didn't follow it as closely. Saw it
towards the end, but Sydney, you're looking at all sorts. To be honest, look like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because they either got to try and clean out their list and rebuild, or they've got to somehow convince themselves that they've still got a premiership in there and add some talent.
There's 3-1, so they're not doing too badly.
Yeah, but the way they've been playing, it's just not. You know what I mean? It's just not.
They ran over Essendon in round one. They did enough against GWS, and they buried Port.
Yeah, but the story with GWS, I think, the GWS game was more GWS's emergence. More than anything else?
I think so, yeah.
They played really well.
Maybe well. So, I mean, again, that's not an easy run-in. Now, if you consider GWS being a good side, Essendon, not a bad side either. Yeah. And Freo and Port, there's two teams that have finished, in prelim finals in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, they're going to have some easier games on the back end or through the middle. But I think Tippett and Franklin both had a good game. Tippett kicked some nice goals, which, for key forwards is kind of nice.
And Franklin always uses his body well.
There was when Franklin was playing up the ground, some of his field kicking is just amazing.
Yeah.
There was one where he's picked somebody out from 60 metres, in between four different Freo defenders, and you just hear my chest. I'm like, could you imagine if he was kicking to himself?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure if he could, he'd probably give it a crack, I reckon.
And there's the other thing that the game showed, I think, is that there's only two things that can stop Nat Fyfe from getting the Brownlow this year, and that's suspension and injury.
Yep.
And you don't hope either of them.
No. He seems to defy his build as an AFL player.
Yep.
Because he looks like a little head on a stick kind of fella running around.
A little dicky knee.
Yeah, but he's always there. Just no matter ball's there, and you see him hanging around,
busting through packs.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and I mentioned it during the game, he gets a slightly higher knock or somebody tugs on his jumper, and he's like Lionel Messi. He just keeps going. I got to get the ball. Got to get the ball. The umpire will take care of the umpiring. And god damn, that's good to see.
Yeah, exactly.
He's really looked since Ablett's been out with his shoulder and hasn't been able to play this year. He's really looked a class above anybody else.
Yeah, and it seems effortless as well the way he plays. Seems like he's just not trying.
Just keeps going. Teams have now got to really think, what are we going to do about him?
Yeah.
But look, for mine, Freo were flag favourites.
Yeah, and I think it's always going to be how well they can play at the MCG. I think, with Freo. Well, it's just what it comes down to.
With a bit of luck, you consider who else is up in the top half. They're not going to. I don't think they've got many games at the MCG at all. They don't play Hawthorn at the MCG.
Yep.
If Essendon are the second best Melbourne-based side, they're probably going to play Essendon at Etihad.
Yep.
Collingwood. I don't know if they play Collingwood at the MCG either. So, if a bit of luck, the only game they'll have to really win at the MCG will be the last one.
Yeah.
And of course, that's.
And I mean, there's a good chance it could be against someone whose home ground isn't the MCG either.
Yeah,
it'd be true in a status.
Exactly. In which case, I think Freo, after losing in 2013, they're not going to go for the hype train this time. There won't be all the nerves.
Yeah.
The shell shock.
Yeah. I think
it's round 4, and I'm naming favourites. Why not?
Yeah, no. Well, I wrote them off before round 1, so
me too.
I'll jump back on the bandwagon. Why not?
Why not that one? Yeah. See, if I say both sides, then I can claim I'm right at least once.
Yeah.
I got a
soundbite.
I got a soundbite. That's exactly what I was thinking. But look, at half time of both of these games, I thought this season's over. It's Freo Port grand final.
Yeah.
And then both the visitors fought back. So there's still a very good chance that was the top 4.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed about this round is it was finals rematch round.
Was it?
Because North played Geelong, and North knocked Geelong out of the finals last year.
Yep.
Sydney played Freo in a first round of the finals.
Yep.
And Hawthorn obviously knocked Port out in the prelim.
Oh, yeah. There you go. And neither Collingwood or Essendon played finals.
Well, Essendon did, but they got knocked out by North.
Oh, yeah.
And North can't play twice.
Yeah, that's right.
And Richmond played finals last year too, but
they
were there for one game. On to the Sunday. Now, I didn't see much of Sunday footy, but I don't think anybody saw much of West Coast and the Lions.
No, did not watch Kick of the West Coast Lions. Was not interested.
I saw a quarter, and it was only because interested. I was home alone.
No, I was watching UFC for the morning ones. So,
if they did enough, West Coast. I think Luke Shuey got injured again, which is just more injuries that West Coast needed.
Yep.
It's very hard to watch the Lions at the minute.
It is, and the thing is, the only we'll comment on is based on Supercoach scores.
Yep.
And it looked like the players that are supposed to be really the heart and soul or the engine room for that team, they just weren't there. They were more the exhaust. That's about it.
I can't believe at one stage I thought they were playing finals this year.
Yep.
Now, they're very lucky they play Gold Coast next week.
Yeah. Well, that's my little darkie is Lepic going to get the sack.
You called it. You said he would at the turn.
And the other one was darkie for the Coleman as well. Kicked another 3.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, probably not.
West Coast, what's his bloody name? Josh Kennedy.
Yeah.
He's called the flat track bully, and he kicked 3 goals 5. So he might be a flat track bully, but he can't throw a punch.
Yeah, he's pretty cockeyed too. You think?
Again, I don't know what the crowd numbers were there, but they're going to struggle.
Yeah, West Coast generally always get a fairly decent crowd, but if that's where it was, or was it?
No, it was up there.
I just saw West Coast written down first. And
I put the winners down first, right. Just so I know. Okay, down to Sleepy Hollow. It's Skilled Stadium or Simmons Stadium, whatever the fuck they call it.
I don't know what it is now. It's West Melbourne.
Yeah, West Melbourne. I saw a little bit of this game, but I think it was actually one I picked. North getting up.
Yeah, I watched it. I had a slow start.
Yep.
But they just regrouped and good work by Higgins and Zeeble did enough.
He showed some guts, Evil.
Yeah, you've always got Boomer taking everybody on and needed well. Thomas played well as well. So
I saw the first quarter when Thomas was dancing and prancing around and couldn't put a foot right. So obviously he switched that on.
Yep.
Robbie Tarrant had a good game from what I saw.
Yeah, he did play well down the fence, made a few good stops, and it was just good kicking for goal as well, and some smart decision making by North. Played a good running game through the middle. A lot of times they just managed to get free and run right over the top. Brown stood up in the forward lines, took some good marks. And
I'll tell you, if he wasn't a fan favourite already, then he is by now.
Oh, definitely. I can see him sort of getting a little cult following down there, as I suspect Danaher will get at Essendon, playing that same role.
Geez, it looks like he gets everything out of himself too. He's just,
absolutely.
Just absolutely loves the contest.
Looks like he's allergic to the gym room.
I've always said about it. He looks like he would have spent his first paycheck on Slurpees and Whiz Fizz.
Probably Dungeons and Dragons 8 or something.
Footy cards. He probably bought footy cards.
Yeah.
And then got the players to sign him after the game. He got his own and fell over. And Boomer Harvey is still massively contributing.
Yeah, he's still doing plenty. He's still quick. That's the thing. He hasn't slowed down. He hasn't lost any toe.
What's he got? 12 to go for his 400, something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Which actually brings me back to something I wanted to talk about with the Collingwood Essendon game.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll diverge over there. Dustin Fletcher kicking a goal from inside the centre square.
Did he?
They're going to show that for years to come.
Jesus Christ.
The old man, I think he's 40 this week, kicking barrels in his 18th Anzac Day game.
To be honest, that's probably what he does all training.
Yeah, probably all he does.
Yep. He's there, bombs down there.
If you didn't cheer for that, then you shouldn't be at the footy.
Yeah, yep.
Anyway, back to Boomer. I think he's got 12 to go or something like that. Both those two are going to play 400 this year.
Yep.
I think Boomer might have an outside chance of getting Michael Tuck's record because he's playing on next year for sure.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And, barring injury and suspension, he could probably get there late next year.
Yep.
But it's also plausible that he could go on 2017.
Yeah.
And if he plays 2017, he's getting the record.
Yep.
That's not a bad effort for the little fella.
And I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing to happen down Arden Street.
No,
they still in Arden Street.
Arden,
yeah, still there.
But yeah, I reckon he's got a good chance of it. I don't think anybody expects Fletcher to play next year.
No,
but he's got a good chance. And on to the final game, which I heard the last 2 minutes on the radio. Bulldogs and Crows. No way did you pick it.
No, not a chance. I mean, pretty much Western Bulldogs have gone how I anticipated Freo to go this year. I mean, Freo, hang on, I fucked it up. Western Bulldogs, I was assuming that they were going to go like Freo did, but they've gone the way Freo. I fucked up again.
All right, they've done well.
What I said about how Freo were going to do this year is how I thought Western Bulldogs were going to go.
You thought they were going to fall off as well?
Yeah, I fucked up both of them.
I think that everyone had every right to expect the Bulldogs to go shit.
Yep.
They lost Libba to a knee.
Yep.
They lost their captain to GWS. Yep. And they're still paying their captain a good $200,000 or something.
Yes.
They got Tom Boyd in, who's not ready yet, apparently.
Yep. Lost Higgins to North.
Lost Higgins to North as well. And Bontempelli's gone from strength to strength.
Yeah.
Stringer's kicked a lazy half dozen.
Yep.
McRae's killing it. And they're just looking like world beaters.
It just seems playing as a good team. That's it. And they've gone, all right, we don't have any stars, so the old rule,
Which is a bit funny because they looked shell-shocked last week against Hawthorn.
Yeah.
Maybe losing Bontempelli before the game and then Wallace during the game.
Yeah.
Maybe it just
stretched them a bit too much.
Yeah, and they might have gone, oh my God, we're going to get flogged.
Yeah.
It looks like this week they went, right, we're ready, let's go.
Yep.
And, God, 55 against the undefeated Adelaide.
Yeah, and I mean, when you look at the way the two sides play this year, it looks like it had the potential to be a good close match, but you wouldn't have picked, if it wasn't that, you would have picked Adelaide with a blowout.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have picked Western Bulldogs just pumping them, putting them to the sword in the first quarter.
Yeah.
And it's like that third one this weekend that just had absolute demolition in the first quarter.
Yeah, the first half, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, probably 3 or 4 if you include GWS game.
Oh, yes. It's actually Sydney Freo was like that as well, wasn't it?
And Hawthorn Port.
Yeah.
Amazing weekend. The only other thing I did hear was I think Eddie Betts kicked 3 goals in junk time to give him 4 for the game.
Oh, yeah.
But from what I could hear on the radio, not much supply up forward anyway, so it's not like you could kick a bag.
Yeah.
But, just still come out with 4 for a small forward. Again, he's certainly justified his pay packet from...
Yeah, he's obviously loving it down there in Adelaide. Yeah, probably a bit less pressure. Just goes what he needs to do.
Just doing what he does.
Yeah.
God, so right now, I think GWS sitting third. No, second.
Second, I think.
And Collingwood are sitting third or fourth.
Yeah, I think up there, yeah.
We're about ready to sack Buckley after round 2.
Oh, I was ready to sack him a couple of years ago.
He's looking like a genius.
Yep.
Mick Moldhouse he's safe through to the end of the year. Gold Coast are on a rebuild. Hardwick's in trouble. So, yeah, we can change who we're writing off week to week for now.
Yeah.
That's just...
I'm sure this will be a whole different story by, round 8 or something like that.
Yeah. We'll be writing off Clarkson by then, I think.
I'm telling you, I'm seriously... We're waiting for the Lions to go on a tear until round 11.
Round 11.
Then they're screwed. That's what it is.
All right, so we'll quickly go through predictions for next week, round 5. We've got the Mick breaks the record on Friday night with Carlton Collingwood.
Yeah.
Won't get the win, though.
I reckon Collingwood will put in a good performance for him.
Collingwood will.
Yep.
Lovely. Tigers and the Cats.
I can't bet against Tigers, so we'll go Tigers.
I think they might bounce back.
Is that the MCG or is it down there?
MCG.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, we've played pretty decent against the Cats the last couple of times, but they've actually been over in Geelong. We actually didn't play too bad, but yeah, it's really hard to tell because if the Tigers rocked up like they played this week, then you'd have to pick the Cats, but Cats didn't do so crash out this week either. So
Cats are 1-3.
Yeah,
and the only team they've beaten is Gold Coast.
Yeah, and I mean the matchup. It's a pretty decent matchup, but
I think it's a good time for both teams.
Yeah.
If Delidio's back, I think that's going to be my tip.
Yeah, I think they said they're still not certain about him playing on the weekend, so I'm guessing probably a certainty for this week.
You'd hope so, especially after the what they've done.
Yeah, because it was more a precaution for the week, so you still had a bit of tightness, and they didn't want to test it.
And I think they said during the game, before the game, that since Delidio's been drafted, Tigers are 2-8.
Yeah,
and the only two wins were against Brisbane.
Yeah, with him being out.
So yeah, the Cats not travelling too well, but they got a lot of tall timber that they just can't get the ball down to.
Yeah.
They're really going to struggle from here.
Yeah, and I mean they've lost a few players that are starting to play really well for the new teams as well. So
exactly.
You got Varco, he's been playing pretty well. Hunt's been playing well for the Tigers.
Yes.
Chappie's been playing awful for Essendon.
Yeah, a couple of great years he's had. And he was pushed out too.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, maybe they just held on to the wrong ones, or maybe these players were never going to play this quality football at Geelong.
Yeah. Sydney and the Bulldogs at the SCG. This is going to be very interesting because Bulldogs faded against Hawthorn and didn't show up.
Yep.
And then they've come out and given Adelaide a hiding. So now they've got to continue that. They can't go in there and go, oh my God, it's Sydney. I hope we don't get flogged, because then they will.
And I mean, the way they played, it's got the potential to be game of the round.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very interesting to see if they have Roughead on Franklin, because somebody's got to stop him.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how the Bulldogs go on their SCG as well.
Yep.
A little bit tighter.
Well, they've extended it now, but I still don't trust their 50 line.
Yeah, me neither.
I'd like to walk that out.
Yeah.
Just to check. The big Q clash.
Yep.
Gold Coast versus Lions. I'll find out what the results are on Monday in the paper, I think.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'm going to look up the scores on the AFL app for this one. That's how little interest I have in it.
Yeah.
How unwatchable it's going to be.
I'm going for the first draw of the season.
0-0.
Yep.
Penalty kicks after the final siren.
Torrential downpour, and both of them go, nah, fuck it.
I tell you, they're not charging to go watch this game, are they?
I don't know. I think they're giving away tickets to the staff.
I'm going to say, because if there is a fee to walk into the ground and watch this game, I'm calling the ACCC.
Yeah.
It's a rip-off, whatever it is.
I think I was playing at half-time during the Broncos first, wherever they're playing this week.
North Queensland Cowboys or something.
Yeah.
By the way, we going to Tigers Cats? 1:45?
Yeah. Well, what is that? What day is it?
Saturday.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I might try and do double duty then.
Yeah.
Because North and Hawks, Etihad Stadium Saturday night.
Here we go.
What a game.
It's going to be a cracker.
interesting from Hawthorn who's going to line up in the back half because Lake's gone.
Yeah.
He's done his knee, so he'll be a couple of weeks. James Frawley's still gone. And North's forward line with Brown, Waite, Petrie, that's a tall forward line.
Yep. Put someone on Thomas as well.
Yeah, you got to look after Lindsay Thomas.
Yep.
I hope it'd be great if Angus Litherland comes back in because he plays really great on those dangerous small forwards.
Yep.
But you got to find a spot for him because if he comes back in, somebody else has got to go out.
Yep.
Showmaker's been sitting in the VFL. I haven't checked how he went today, but if he doesn't get a game now with Frawley and Lake both out, then you got to consider where your future's at.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to take Hawks sharing the work down there. You're going to have to probably do a fair bit of running out of the back lines.
Yep.
With their bombing in, and I think you'll find Burgoyne maybe sweep across the half back line, help him get it through the middle or something like that.
Yeah, again, that's probably one of the problems with Hawthorn at the minute is it's Hodge, Mitchell, Lewis, Burgoyne are the ones that are being the driving now.
Yeah.
Which is great because they're still out there and still doing it. But I think Lewis is 28 and the others are 31, 32.
Yep.
You do need the next generation to step up.
Yeah.
But North have been win-loss so far this year, so they're due for a loss. So I'm going with the Hawks.
Yep, I reckon the Hawks will get across the line too.
West Coast and GWS, great opportunity for GWS to get their first win ever against the WA side.
That's over in West Coast, is it?
Over there.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. West Coast, I didn't rate them too much when they're doing just enough to be thereabouts. And
they, if Luke Shuey doesn't play, that's just another injury they've got.
Yeah.
They've still got class in their team, but geez, I don't know. This could be an upset. I think I'm going to back GWS.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll run off their feet. So I think they'll get across the line. Melbourne
Freo at the G.
Well, we're talking about Freo the G. It's going to be a little bit dip the toe in the water. So I'll back them. I'll back them against
on a Sunday. Yeah, I think Freo is going to win.
Yeah, because I think Melbourne's their sort of annoying tagging running game, and that's Freo's game that they do a lot better.
Yep. Yeah. So. You got Paul Roos coaching versus Ross Lyon, so and probably not a high scoring affair. The only thing could be, does Freo send over their best 22? Because they've been known to rest a few. Sandilands, it's a long flight for the big fella. Yeah, so he might not make the trip.
And I mean, this game is going to be won or lost in the ruck.
Yep,
you know what I mean. And a lot of times you'll find, I don't know what it is, but it seems like Sandilands is a bit easy to read in the ruck because he's so dominant.
Yeah, you find a lot of clubs they don't try and win the tap; they just try and bump into Sandilands and then see where the ball lands.
Yep.
But when you got Fife running around, and if you give if you give a hard tag to Fife, then you got Mundy, you got Barlow, and the next lot. That'd be very interesting if is it Van Berlo? Bernie Vince.
Yeah.
If Bernie Vince gives the hard tag to Fife again.
Well, I mean, you'd bet on it. I think. Yeah. That's the way it's going to go.
He did okay on Cochin on Friday night, didn't he?
He did all right. I mean, Cochin had enough of the ball to say it was a contest. Yeah, he had enough of it.
But if he gets on top of Fife, he's claimed Dangerfield and Fife in 3 weeks. That's not a bad effort.
Yeah, exactly.
St Kilda and Essendon, both coming off a loss.
Yep.
Essendon will be, not embarrassed, but they'll certainly want to make amends for losing on Anzac Day.
Yeah.
And St Kilda, hopefully they'll get Rewalt back because that's the only thing that'll make this a contest, I think.
Yeah. Over at Etihad. I have to back the Essendon in this one.
I think so. And then showdown, Crows versus Port.
Yeah, this is going to be a good match to finish off on a Sunday evening.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker. It's almost ruined by Adelaide losing. Well, I won't say ruined, but be very interesting how Port come back from a bruising encounter, a tiring encounter.
And a couple of weeks in a row of hard footy as well.
Yep. But they're on a 2-game winning streak, whereas Adelaide have dropped one that nobody expected them to. So I dare say they'll have... Phil Walsh looks like the kind that doesn't mind yelling.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a tough week, but there's going to be so much on this game. It's going to be an absolute ripper with so much on the line in round 5.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go on the Crows. I reckon they'll get up.
They'll bounce back?
Yep. I reckon they'll get up.
I think the Crows too.
I think there might just be they've got to be physical. No, that's the way they're going to win this match.
Yep.
Is try and slow it down, get a bit physical. Probably would be, Crows. I reckon they'll get across the line. Maybe 17 points. I'm going
17 points.
Yeah.
I reckon they'll. We might see another Port just running out. I mean, they've got an 8-day break.
Yeah,
It'd be interesting to see. I think they've got a few players that are not injured, but certainly under a bit of a cloud and playing under due rest.
probably due for a little furlough.
Yeah, exactly. But they've finally got their season on the way.
Yeah.
All right. So some of the other issues going around, that I thought we'd take a talk.
Yep.
About. You might have seen the footage of Clarkson getting hassled by some yobbo.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm glad that all the talk about it I've seen is that dude's a dickhead.
Yeah, exactly.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Obviously, you've had a tough day at the office and you come back home and you got some drunken lout just screaming in your ear. At the same time, if you punched him, you probably shouldn't punch him, but geez, you'd want to.
You'd want to, yeah. I mean, I think in that situation, probably the shirt punch is appropriate.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Jumper punch.
It's not a wind up. It's just a little short, a couple of inches, and don't do that again.
Well, he's known for having a temper too, the little Clarkson.
Well, yeah. Well, obviously he hadn't seen what he can do to a coach's box.
I thought somebody else said he was actually an accident. He missed. He was aiming for the wall.
And I guess they mustn't get that news across in Adelaide. So
yeah. But the stupid thing about it was he was filming it, or his girlfriend was filming, or something.
Yeah.
He got exactly what he wanted.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
attention.
Yeah.
And they didn't waste any time selling the footage on to Channel 7.
Absolutely. Went to the cops as well.
Yeah.
I don't understand how you're going to go to the police and go, man, that was so unfair.
Yeah.
What's your case?
I'm okay. Clarkson might get a fine from the AFL or something like that for.
Yeah, no, I think they've already said that they're not going to investigate any further. Yeah, no.
I'm trying to think. Ross Lyon did something similar last year, and I can't remember what came from it, but I'm sure whatever it was. This looks like it's very similar.
Yeah.
And as far as the police, I'm pretty sure they're going to look at it and go, all right, don't do it again.
You dickhead.
You're an idiot, and okay.
I want to see the leadership group talk to Clarko. Give him a couple of words. You've really let us down, mate. Now
we've decided we're going to fine you for the end of season trip fund.
You're coaching Box Hill next week, champ, but stick in there. Come back week after.
And Brendan Bolden's back in. 5-0 he is.
Here we go.
It's his chance to shine. And the other thing was Jakey King.
Yep.
Jakey King's lined up a civil action against the AFL for career-ending injuries.
Yeah.
Which, obviously we don't know the full details of, and he's been working very closely with the AFLPA. So he's obviously gone through everything, and there is a fund, I believe, with the AFL has for past or former players for these kind of things. So essentially he's looking to tap into that fund.
Right.
He's gone the legal route for it.
All right. He's looking for a bit of AFL pension.
It's a little bit extra, but we've got a bit of an inside scoop that it's not the only action he's pulled in now that he's retired.
Look out.
So he's also suing MGM Grand. MGM Pictures for copyright infringement on the Oompa Loompas.
Oh, shit.
He's suing his parents for lack of height.
He just wants the rest of him.
He's like, where's the rest of me? I've been shortchanged.
2 balls, that's all you got, Dad. Fuck.
He's suing Harley Davidson for not making extensions for the pedals so he can reach. He was going to sue them for the ape hangers, but they managed to just lower the angle so they can go all the way back.
They just gave a steering wheel.
Did you get any?
No. I forgot all about it during the podcast.
I managed to fluke through a few there.
Post is yours.
That'll do us there. One other thing I saw, that John Worsfold has said that he's not closing the door on his coaching career just yet.
Right.
One of the very few coaches that got to call time on his own terms.
Yep.
10 years in a premiership at West Coast, favourite son and all that kind of stuff. You reckon you'll get another go?
Well, I'm not sure where you'd slot him in.
Well, I mean, we expect that there might be room at the end of the year. There might be 1 or 2 coaches that leave on. I mean, we've already killed off 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
If Mick goes around again,
yeah,
I might be surprised, but I've got a feeling that Worsfold might have done. Did he do an apprenticeship at Collingwood or Carlton?
Probably would have at West Coast under Mick.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if he did transfer over to Collingwood afterwards. Anyway, geez, he'd be a good matchup for Carlton, I think, next year.
He probably would, especially if they're officially on their rebuilding phase or whatever.
Which they've called.
Yeah.
But, it'll be interesting. The one team I don't think he'd be an asset to is Richmond. I think he's very similar to Hardwick.
Yeah, so I think too.
So if you're going to replace Hardwick with somebody who's just like Hardwick, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
In that tough demeanour and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think that's necessary. I think Hardwick's the right person. He's just got the wrong personnel.
Yep.
It'd be very interesting to see if he wants another go around, and if he wants to coach in Melbourne.
Yeah,
be part of a big Melbourne club, because West Coast are a resource through their eyeballs.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It's not like he's suffered on that side of it. So there might be some high-profile jobs up for grabs, and he might throw his name in the ring.
Well, I'd like to see him get another go-around. I thought it might have been a little bit premature.
He came to the end of his contract and went, I've kind of had enough.
Enough, yeah.
So he wasn't pushed out or anything like that. He might have just recharged the batteries and thought, I can give this another go.
Yeah. I mean, it happened to Bomber Thompson as well. Must be one of those things. As soon as you walk away, you want it back again.
Go back again. Did you see his open mic?
No, I missed it.
I watched it during the week. It was, I thought it was fascinating.
Oh, it's always fascinating listening to him talk.
Yeah, open mic is the best footy program going around.
Yeah, if you got his number, let us know. We'll get him on this fucking show. We'll give him a real open mic.
I could certainly empathise with him. He's obviously a very private person, and there's some things he goes, I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just not. Even ones where he was talking about, there's been lots of rumours about drug use, or he was knocking off one of the players' misses down at Geelong and all that kind of stuff. It sounded like he knew who was to blame and doesn't like who's to blame, but he's still not going to stick them in.
Yeah.
You're not going to dob him in.
Yeah, he's still old school.
And as a Hawthorn supporter, it was fantastic to hear how they'd already planned their celebrations and everything for 2008, and it all fell through.
Yep.
I went on and watched the Stewie Jew 5 minutes YouTube video after that again, just reliving old times. But it's the best show going around.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, the worst thing with the over-management of AFL personnel in the media is that you don't get any honest answers. You don't get genuine personalities. You get a manufactured TV personality.
When you get somebody that says what they mean, it really stands out.
Yeah, exactly. And I just don't understand why it's so contrived these days about how you can and can't talk to the media. And I think it's just not quite fair that we put so much emphasis on these people being role models when they're just football players. That's what they are. You don't need to, probably role model your kids after Bill Gates or some smart cunt.
After their parents.
Yeah, that's it.
That's who their role model should be.
Yeah.
I know Charles Barkley was famous for saying, I am not a role model. Saying, don't follow me. When you got Mickey J who's running around next to him, he's trying to do everything right in front of the camera and everything wrong off it. But when you're big enough to get everyone to shut up, then good on you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the same thing. I don't think that being an AFL player means you automatically have to be a role model.
Yeah, that's it.
But at the same time, clubs will suck you if you're not.
That's exactly right.
Which is just weird.
Yeah, I think that that's not really part of the package. And they'll say, but you can pay lots of money. Well, go fuck yourself, man. Yep. You're getting paid fuck all. You be the role model.
Yeah.
It's not in the contract where, you're going to have little Billy grow up to be just like you, kid. And it's like, they're 19-year-old kids getting paid a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, if you gave me a couple $100,000 when I was 19, don't know if I'd still be around.
Exactly. End of the day, I admire them for their football ability, and that's what you want. If you've got kids, that's what you want them to look up to them for.
Yeah.
Look how hard he runs and look how he uses both sides of the body. Model your footballing after him. Model your life after him. That should be what your parents are for.
Yep, exactly right.
Yeah. On the same token, they reckon that sponsors will jump away, and they have before, for off-field incidents that they've got stuck in.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just the overreaction of people who aren't in a position to be the judge and jury on such matters anyway.
I think sponsors can go fuck themselves. So
exactly.
They want to sponsor and hold a moral candle to them.
Yeah, and let's be honest, man, they'll do whatever it is so that someone buys their shit. So.
Exactly right. That's exactly why you're here, is just to get free tickets for yourself and to try and sell more of whatever shit you're selling.
Exactly right.
The moral high ground is not yours to take.
Yep, exactly right.
One other thing I think happened during the week, not sure if you're aware of this, but former West Coast Eagles player David Wirapunda got charged with drink driving.
Yep.
After the Derby game, I think he said he had a couple of drinks, he couldn't get a taxi, so he decided to drive home, and he got caught. And he went out on the front foot and apologised and called a mini press conference and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's very hard for somebody to get done drunk driving and for me to respect them more afterwards. But he was just so mature about it and went, oh, look, I did it. I'm guilty. I did it.
I don't know. If you manage to get done drunk driving and they still manage to drive home, respect.
But I mean, it was amazing. He just went, I fucked up, and he's I think he might already be or was toying with a run in politics and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But he's obviously one of the coming out of an era where there is a lot of off-field issues for West Coast Eagles players.
Yep.
He's one of the ones who, no pun intended, kept his nose clean.
Yeah, but it's only because he was a designated driver.
Could have been. But yeah, it was amazing that, he fucked up, did the mea culpa, and I thought it was actually really good from him.
Oh, that's all you expect from anyone who makes a mistake, is that
you made a mistake.
Put your hand up and you admit it. That's all we can ask of anyone, and you can't judge someone for that. If not, I mean, if anything, it makes them a better person, because if your expectation is that it's wrong to make mistakes, then you're a fucking cocksucker, really.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Look, and obviously, the what can come from drunk driving is horrible and all that, but nothing did happen. And he's copping it on the chin. He'll take the fine, take the points, and
that's it.
If there's a suspension of license or whatever, I'm sure he'll take that too. But I thought it was just really good to see him come out and say, "Look, I did it. This is what happens."
Yeah, and I mean, that's all you expect of people in that sort of situation.
Take responsibility for it. It's good of him. Okay, I think that's wrapped up round 4 of the AFL. You got anything else? No, we're good. All right. We're hoping we've got a few different podcasts coming up soon. But once we've got them actually signed and sealed and in the tank, we'll say more about them.
Yep. We've got a few things in the works, so always trying to improve our content and
see what we do. We might even have a new theme song coming soon.
Yeah, we got one coming. We might have a few different separate ones.
Just quietly, I think Bruce McAvaney might be supporting us. But
he's a little silent sponsor, allegedly.
Wait for that one. All right. See you later.
All right, bye.